from Blues TV. I'm here with Steve Wicks. Steve Wicks, I'm so happy to meet you. Former Chelsea player in 70's, played in 2 spells for Chelsea. Steve, there's events coming on June 7. You're launching your book called Nothing But the Truth. Steve, tell us more about this event.
I thought I got very concerned a few months ago when I was thinking of all the players of that squad that weren't with us anymore, that had passed on, and I wanted to do a tribute to them. It was a great time. We met each other at 13, 14, went through everything together, thrown in the first team together, had to get Chelsea promotion within 2 years together, and we did it. And I just wanted to do a tribute to them and everyone involved.
How did you feel to represent this amazing football club in 70's?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was my favourite club when I was a kid. I could have signed for Leeds United, but I chose Chelsea. There was no contest. I love this club, and as I say, it was my favourite club with full of my favourite players.
Yeah. So, Steve, what was your biggest challenge during the time that you're playing for this amazing football club?
I think it was we were 18, 19 when Eddie McCready was made manager. Eddie had seen us play in the youth team and reserves, had tremendous faith in us, and all of a sudden all the superstars were sold off. Your Alan Hudson, Peter Osgood, people like that were all gone, and it was left to us. And I think what we achieved, I've also got to say, our supporters back then were unbelievable. They were our 13th man. You never felt alone anywhere in this country. They were absolutely brilliant. And together, we got that promotion and got Chelsea back where they belong in the First Division. Yeah.
So, I don't really mean to be specific, but, you've played with quite a lot of few friends, but who are those friends that really motivate you? Your teammates that really motivate you during your time?
Yeah, well, there's Gary Locke, Ian Britton, Ray Wilkins. He was a great influence. He was made captain of Chelsea at 18. Wow. He was a leader of men. He was brilliant. We had Teddy Maybank, who's a real character. John Sparrow, who was the best left back in the country. Wow. Then it was full of. We signed a guy from Wickham called Kenny Swain. Yeah. And he was absolutely brilliant. He had a great time here, and it's just full of personalities, people that would run for each other. Wow. And run for this club and give it everything. Yeah. And it was just a fantastic experience.
Wow, amazing. It's good to hear all this because we've just been born in this century. We realistically don't know much about what happened in the 70's, and you just trying to express your mind and tell us what's going on during those times. I'm just feeling like wow. Yeah. I wish it's something that I personally experienced, because when you look at what's going on today, I think it's a very, very. Just a little bit explain about the big difference between playing for Chelsea in those days and what you're experiencing right now.
I think the first thing is you can afford to live in London. We all lived outside because we couldn't afford to live in London. Yeah. I think the principles are more or less the same in terms of I said to all my children, in any sport they participated in, you got to look in the mirror and say, I've given 100%, I've given everything I've got, I can't do any more. And I think that is what you need to do. The thing is, do players become a little bit sort of comfortable because they're earning so much money and they haven't got a care in the world? Have England not won a competition because the manager is speaking to multi-millionaires?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a great Rocky film, Eye of the Tiger. Are they too comfortable? I think, but in those days, I would have given. If someone said to me, "You can play for England," I would have given them. I'd have paid anything they wanted. I'd have sold my house, sold my car, everything, because to me that was the biggest honour, bestowed on you. No, I think it's the same. But I think, as I said, they're put it this way: most of our players in my era probably bought a pub after they retired.
Yeah. I think back in those days, people play for the badge. People play for the city, people played for the club, for the fans. But like you said, it's a little bit different now. You know, the money, the a lot of distraction around the football. We're not seeing. I mean, the kind of spirit that you guys, putting into football. So, moving forward, what I mean, these days we used to see out derbys. I mean, derby games. Two big clubs playing Manchester United, Man City, and all these clubs. How does it feel like in dressing room in those days when you want to play?
I'll tell you a story. We played here. We drew Liverpool in the third round of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And Liverpool were the best team probably in the world then. They'd won what is now the Champions League. They won the Premier League for the last sort of 3 years. They were unbelievable, full of every player was an international, right? So we draw them, and a few of the boys saying of all the draws we've got, and we'd been on a good run. We'd been doing really well. I think we'd played 11, won 9, drew 1 and lost 1. So we were doing all right in the first division. And we played them here. There was 63,000 people here. It was absolutely packed. And we beat them 4-2.
4-2
in the third round of the FA Cup.
Wow.
But what was even more funny was we played them 2 weeks later in the league. Wow. And a few of their players had things in Shoot and Match, which were football magazines.
Yeah.
It will never happen again. It was a fluke. No way will Chelsea beat us again. We beat them 3-1.
Oh my goodness!
And that in that year we played Man United at Old Trafford and beat them 1-0. So we had a good season on the way back. I think we finished about 9th.
Yeah.
Then.
You said it all, but realistically, what games? I mean, what sort of games can you, explain to us? I mean, that you've got a little bit of feelings. I mean, I know you go to games as a player with same mentality and same, how do I say it? You want to win the game, absolutely, but some games is unforgettable. So I don't know if you can share more light.
Yeah, well, Tottenham was always our main rivals. Yeah. When we had to sweep the terrace in and we played Tottenham, I think sweeping the terrace in took us about 3 days to get it back. But no, Tottenham was a big game. In those days, there was every derby was a big derby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every derby was a big derby, and a lot of people thought that's why London clubs couldn't win the league, because there were so many derbies.
So many derbies, too many
tough games. So, but Man United in those days, honestly, every game was a big game. Yeah. You had your Joe Jordans and Kenny Dalglish's, and that Chelsea players or fans, although they probably booed them, still wanted to come and see him. And it was a lot more attacking then. The first look was forward, and there was none of this passing at the back. And it was exciting to watch, and that built the atmosphere. And some of the atmospheres here were unbelievable.
Yeah. So going forward, what advice would you give to your young self, inspiring to play for Chelsea, and the young, kids out there that is hoping and one day probably play for Chelsea? What sort of advice would you, put out for?
You've got to have real integrity and moral honesty. And when you shake hands with your teammate before you go out, you're like soldiers. You're going into war, and you've got to be committed and to give everything for your mates. And I saw that there seems to be, watching the game last night, a real togetherness in that team. They fought hard, but the most important thing is just give 100%, give it all you've got. And when you're cleaning your teeth at night, the only person that you can't kid is yourself.
Absolutely.
And you've just got to say, I gave everything. I gave everything.
Right. Steve, thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you on here. So, but before we go, the book that you're launching, what sort of things would people learn from this book? And, the event coming on, guys, you need to turn up. The link is in my bio. Grab your ticket, be available, and Steve is going to tell you what sort of things are you going to gain from this event.
You're going to, I think the way I put it is, when I signed for Chelsea, my first season, they were doing really well. They just won the European Cup Winners' Cup. And it was like walking into the Ritz, the training ground was immaculate, food, everything you could think of.
Yeah.
Within 2 years, it had gone down to the footballerin.
Wow.
And we were fighting, you know, everything was cut.
Yeah.
You know, we played Aston Villa away here, and the bus wouldn't go because it hadn't been paid for about 5 to 6 months. So the players had to have a whip and pay for the bus to get it to Villa Park.
Wow.
You know, a lot of the players gave 25, 50 quid back to the club out of their wages.
Wow.
And we were, you know, and we were only on £250 a week now.
Wow.
But that was the commitment that that we did. You know, that's the commitment because we loved our club. We loved it. We loved being part of it. Well, the other one, Umbro pulled out the sponsorship, so therefore we had to buy all the footballs for training and
Wow.
yeah, honestly. But we did it, and there was no arguing or there was no just, you know, for the cause really.
Yeah.
But we're gonna. There's a lot of boys coming on stage and question and answer.
Yeah.
Everyone's welcome to ask any questions they want. They get an honest answer.
Yeah.
We've got Angie Brown doing a set,
Wow.
singing a new single, and it's going to be a great night. And we'll have a good, enjoyable time. And please, you're all welcome. And as I said, a few of the boys will be there, and we'll have a good, honest question and answer where you can ask anything.
Thank you very much, Steve. We're happy to have you on this channel, and we wish you
it's
best
my
of
pleasure.
luck on June 7.
Pleasure.
So guys, June 7, save the date. You have to be there. There's a lot of things you can ask. You're going to meet a lot of ex and former Chelsea football. I know you are very interested to know what's going on in 70s. Steve has given us a brief of what's going on, but you definitely want to know more. So I encourage you to go on my link in my bio, grab your ticket, you know, and I'll see you on the 7th of June.